Hey guys, welcome to Mr. Smith's Kitchen. Brian, Mr. Smith Kitchen. So it's Thursday. I thought we'd do some baking. So I wait till the 1 week where we got a bunch going on throughout the week between trying to finish, at least getting the garage organized enough. I built some shelves out there, so I finished up phase 2. If you guys happen to watch phase 1 of the garage build, getting shelves and everything get together so we can start working on stuff for the kitchen. Got shelves built, got it kind of organized, got the car in the garage, so that way we got storm number 3, ice storm number 3 coming within 3 storms in 4 weeks. Now, the second one wasn't horrible. It was actually bearable. First one was horrible. This one could be rough. So, got all that taken care of, and then we've got Abby's surgery on Friday, tomorrow. So, that being said, I picked today to make probably the one cake that has the most moving parts of any cake I've ever made, and it's a chocolate cake with a strawberry cream cheese icing. But the nuance to that is it's we're gonna make 3 separate cake layers, all right, and then we're gonna cut those in half. So this thing is literally 6 layers, and we're gonna alternate layers with a strawberry cream butter icing, which looks delightful. A chocolate ganache, strawberry, chocolate ganache, strawberry. And then it'll be coated with, covered with a strawberry buttercream icing, followed by some nice decorative, I can't even think of what they're called right now, parts on the top with more of the buttercream icing and some chocolate covered strawberries. So, oh, and more ganache on top of that. It's a really pretty cake if I do it right. The recipe is a little different. Not a whole lot, but a little different. Things go together a little differently. But anyhow, that being said, don't forget to subscribe. Hit the like button if you like it. Dislike if you don't like it. That one's kind of indifferent. Notification bell is right next to subscribe. If you're so inclined to know when my videos come out. I am always tickled pink that you guys allow time for me in your life. That is, to no ends, the most amazing thing ever. If you are new to my channel, welcome. Hands down, glad you found me. Hope you get stuff out of this. If you're returning to my channel, thank you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for coming back. That means I've got something that you're interested in, and that's kind of cool. So, that being said, let me get the camera moved on down here, and we'll start looking at stuff we need and ingredients lists. All right, on for me once. All right, so got the camera moved. We're gonna start with the dry ingredients. First thing you're gonna need is 2 cups, 260 grams of flour, and I'm gonna sift it. You don't have to, but I'm going to. And to that, before we sift it, we're gonna add 1 teaspoon, 4 grams of baking soda. So I'm gonna go ahead and throw that in there. The reason why I'm sifting is it gives it it breaks it up. You know, I don't know how, almost makes it more like a cake flour. It incorporates better. And then I'm going to add a half a teaspoon, 2 grams of salt. Now, I use kosher salt, and if you're using kosher salt and you're using the coarse grain kosher salt, I recommend taking the back of your spoon and smashing it down, you know, crushing it a little. If not, inevitably somebody's going to say, "Oh, I taste salt." You know, now if you're using a fine mesh strainer like this one, your salt may not go through it, and that's okay. Just dump it out at the end. You know, give it a good stir through. So we're just going to get this, yeah, all put together. You know, just run through the sifter. And then we can move on to the next step, really. I mean, all right. Yeah, and see, my salt wasn't quite fine enough to get through there. That's okay. That's okay. Yeah, when you use the coarse kosher salt, you know, even the fine has a hard time going through a fine mesh strainer like this. But the coarse has a hard time dissolving because they're just too big of chunks. But see how fine that flour is now compared to, I mean, I'm sure you guys know what normal flour looks like. But it's nice and fine. It's soft and fluffy. All right, so we got the dry done. All we got to do is set that aside. All right, we're done playing with all the dry ingredients, and it really is just 3 simple ingredients: flour, baking soda, and salt. So the next thing we're gonna need to do is run some stuff through a mixer. Now you can use a hand mixer. or stand mixer. If you're using a stand mixer, use your paddle attachment. I don't know if I would try this with a whisk by hand. That'd be a lot of work. You can. There's no rule that says you can't. But I would at least use a hand mixer. They're not that expensive. These stand mixers can be very expensive. This is one of the lower end KitchenAids. It's not the professional series. That was still $300. So they're not cheap. But we'll go ahead and get this plugged in. And if you are new to my channel, all my recipes are written down in a notebook. If they work and we like them, we keep them. If we don't like it or it doesn't work, we just simply tear it out and throw it away. All right, so the next thing we're going to need to do is we need butter. All right, we're going to put our butter in here, and you need 1 cup, 226 grams. Now, it's 2 sticks of butter. I made my own butter. This is my first batch ever, and it tastes really good. I think I'm going to do a video on it. It's not hard at all to do, and all you need is a stand mixer, or you can use a hand mixer if you don't mind standing there for about 15 minutes, and the wire whisk attachment. Heavy cream, bam, butter. All right, so 1 cup, 226 grams of butter. Get that in there. Spatula. So I will give you all your ingredients and U.S. measurements, cups, tablespoons, so forth. But I'll also give it to you in grams. And I encourage you to use a scale. It makes things more accurate, more consistent. And like in this case, we're going to put this in 3 different pans. Now would be a good time also, because I forgot to do it in the very beginning of the video, turn our oven on, 350 degrees, get that warming up. I also, before we started playing, I took my 8-inch pie pans, or cake pans, I coated them with butter, and I put a piece of parchment paper in the bottom of them. Those are 2 things you can, well, the oven you definitely want to start right when you start doing this, that way it's up temp by the time you're done. But these are something you can do first thing right off the bat, and that way they're out of the way. And I did 3 of these. So this is a non-stick. I don't know if you've seen it. If you're new, you haven't seen my other videos. But if you're not new, this is what the non-stick pans look like. And you definitely want to butter these or put a vegetable spray on them, either way. And parchment paper is always recommended. That way, guaranteed not to stick. We can run something along the sides, but we can't run anything along the bottom to get them out. So we got the oven going. Got the pans ready. Now we're off to our 1 cup, 226 grams of butter, and we're just going to smear this. We're going to cream it, make sure it's all broke up and smooth. All right, we got that nice and creamed up. It's no longer one giant ball, but we do want to. I know I didn't just mention it, but you want to make sure your butter is at room temperature. Dairy products should always be at room temperature unless otherwise noted in the recipe. Like if you're making whipped cream, you don't want room temperature heavy cream. You want as cold as you can possibly get cream without it being frozen. All right, now we got our 1 cup of butter in there. Next thing we need to add is our sugar, which I don't know what I do with my sugar. I bet I didn't get it out. That's all right. This is a good learning lesson. Let me go grab my sugar and I'll show you how to use a scale. Okay, so I got my sugar, scale out. So I'm going to put the sugar in. And I cleared it out. Just hit the clear button, or it's the on, tare, and off. Tare means clear. It's the exact same thing. And then I'm just going to scoop out 200 grams of sugar. I really cannot believe I forgot the sugar. I mean, really, if you use a scale for everything, you don't have to use measuring cups. You can just, like we could have literally just taken that off of the bowl off the stand, put the sugar in it, and I'll be ready to go. Alright, so now we got that mystery solved. Can't believe I forgot the sugar. It's only one of the main ingredients of it. Go ahead and turn the scale off, get it out of the way. We'll keep it around just in case I decide that I forgot something else. But we'll go ahead and get this started. We're just going to go ahead and put in our 400 grams of sugar. Alright, now, when it comes to this part, we're going to mix it on medium-high, and we're going to let this go like 3 to 5 minutes, which is kind of standard with cakes. You don't want to shortcut this step. You want it to be light and as creamy as possible. Alright? Okay, it's been about 4 or 5 minutes. And you're nuts. And that's what we're looking at for there. I don't know if you can see that real well with the lighting. About like that there. You know, fluffy. Yeah, you don't need any sugar and butter. Go on. Yeah, stay out of the batter. Go. So the next thing we're going to need is 4 eggs. And we're going to need them at room temperature. Now, with room temperature stuff, it's okay to put it out in the morning if you're going to make it in the afternoon, or put it out the night before for that matter. It won't hurt anything, I promise. You're going to put this in the oven. You're going to bake it at 350 degrees. It's not going to hurt anything. So, the next thing we're going to do, we're going to put our eggs in. We're going to put them in at one at a time. And you want large eggs. Okay? And they weigh about 50 grams each. You're going to need, or 50 grams each. So you're going to need about 200 grams worth. And we're going to mix this in until it's good and incorporated one at a time. One thing I didn't do that I should have was scrape my bowl. So let me get my bowl scraped real quick. So, and when I was mixing for that 4 or 5 minutes, about every minute I stopped and I scraped down my bowl. That way I can ensure that everything stayed consistent. Alright, got that in there. There we go. Much more better. 82. Oh. Alright, well I put 2 eggs in at once, but that's okay. It's not going to hurt anything. Get those incorporated. Sometimes they just like to stick together and go in together. Alright, and then put our last egg in. Now that's incorporated, we'll turn it down a little bit, and then we're going to add 1 teaspoon, 4 grams of vanilla. Alright, pure vanilla extract. Alright, got that in there and running good. We are mixed. Now, the last thing we need to do is, and this is kind of a weird one. This is weird. It's not weird, it's just different, because this isn't the way I've always done it. So traditionally with a chocolate cake, you would just put your cocoa into the dry ingredients. This recipe has got me mixing my cocoa with 3/4 a cup of warm water, room temperature water at least. You don't want cold water. And then to that, we're going to add 3/4 cup, 85 grams of unsweetened cocoa powder. Now I'm using Dutch processed cocoa powder. Yeah, use whatever one you like. Just make sure it's unsweetened. And then we're going to mix it up in the water. Now you can sift this in order to get it kind of lump free. Got that mixed. And we want to mix this until it's smooth. We don't want any lumps in it. So then we're just going to go ahead and add this into our batter. It's like putting fudge in it. It is, it is. I don't know if I altogether like this step. But that's okay. It's new and different. That's all. We'll get our chocolate in there. Alright, chocolate is in. I'll get a new rubber spatula. And we're just going to mix this in until it's combined. Okay, so which means it'll be chocolatey. So we got that in there. Now, we're going to take our dry ingredients, our flour and salt and baking soda. We're just going to put about half of that in there. All right. And we're going to mix this really slow. You want to mix it on low in the beginning. If you don't, you'll get a face full of flour. All right. We'll Clean up our sides here. And this was another thing that was a little different about this recipe. I mean, it's cool either way. I will follow the directions. But normally, when you incorporate your dry goods in, you do it in 3 stages with a liquid in between. So you do 2 stages of liquid and 3 stages of dry. This recipe has us doing 1 stage of liquid and 2 stages of dry. Alright, got that. Scrape down. Scraping the sides of your bowl is very important. And we're just going to put this on low. And we're going to slowly pour our milk in. We're going to use 3/4 of a cup of milk. Alright. Got that milk in there. Now the batter's looking really good. Very brownie-like. And then we're just going to take the other half of our flour mix there, dry mix, put it in, and get that incorporated in. We're good and incorporated. That's it for the batter. I mean, the batter is not hard to make at all. But we're going to scrape this off. Then we'll get our bowl off of there. And we're just going to make sure we got everything good and incorporated. Get that flour up the sides there, get it mixed in. And I said you don't want any chunks of anything or, clumps of anything. Sugar, butter, flour, none of that. Alright, I think we're in good shape. Alright, let me get this straightened up real quick. I'll get our pans and we'll get this stuff put into the pan. Get everything cleared out. So, scale comes in real handy for this so I can evenly divide them up. Now you can eyeball it, but you run the risk of your cakes being kind of uneven. One may bake quicker than the other, and you don't want that. So I'm going to divide these into thirds, and that way I know I'm as good as it's going to get. For a scale to the side, and now I'm just going to take my offset spatula, or you can use the back of a spoon, however you want to work it, or your regular rubber spatula, whatever you have available. I have used all 3, but since I have an offset spatula, and I like an offset spatula myself, if you don't have one, I recommend picking one up. They're not expensive, they're not fancy, and if you're going to do any kind of baking, really, they're probably the next best investment next to a scale. Yeah, that's my opinion. Alright, this one done. Okay, so we got all 3 of these done. Even. They came out weighing about 320 grams a piece, if you would like to know that. So, what do we do next? Well, I'll tell you what we're going to do next. We're going to put these in the oven at the 350 degrees we put it on. Sorry about that. Got you all crooked and stuff. At the 350 degrees we preheated our oven at, we're going to put all 3 of them in the middle rack, and we're going to bake them for about 20-25 minutes. We want to start checking them at 20 minutes. I've never baked this cake in my oven before, so I don't know yet exactly how long it's going to take. So toothpick in the center should be pulling away from the sides ever so slightly, and it'll have a bounce in the middle if you were to touch it. All right, that way you know it's done. If you do the toothpick in the center, it should have just a little bit of crumb on it, no batter, or come out clean. You got to be careful though. I prefer to find a little bit of crumb on there. That way we know it's not completely done. Because if it comes out completely clean, you could have a dry cake. So when I come back, we will pull these out of the oven and we will start making the chocolate ganache. That's the next step. Okay? I'll see you here in just a minute. So we let those bake. It took 22 minutes in my oven, so 2025 is what I'm going to tell you. So I pulled them out of the oven, and now we just let them sit for about 3 or 4 minutes. And then now we're pulling them out of the pan. I got the first 2 out of the pan, as you can see right there. So I'll show you how we did it. And by we, I mean us, me and you, how you should do it. You need an offset spatula, plastic knife, metal knife, and you're just going to stick it around the edge. I mean, if you look on there, it's a little warm. You can see how it's separated from the edge. That's a good sign. That means we're doing things right. Now, I will say these aren't quite as thick as I thought they were going to be, so that's going to make it interesting. So that means the cake won't be as tall as I thought it would be either. That's okay. I mean, that's not a bad thing. So now if you've got another rack you can put on top of this to flip it over, great. If you don't, I'm just using a plate. I'm going to flip it over just like such. Bam, look at that. All because we used the parchment paper and we buttered the edges. So then we're going to take this out, take the parchment paper off, just like such. What do you think, girl? I see you. And then we're just going to take this. Now, I sprayed these down with vegetable oil, just a quick spray to help them not stick. And we're just going to flip that over and set it on there, and we got to let it completely cool. So while those are cooling, we can start making our ganache. And then after that, we'll make our icing. All right? Hold on. All right, so we got our cakes cooling. Now all we got to do, we're at the next step of 3. Well, 4. The last one being putting the cake together, is to make the ganache. Now, ganache is really easy. It's like the simplest icing of them all. And all it requires is 2 ingredients, heavy cream and semi-sweet chocolate chips. So it's 9 ounces or 1.5 cups of chocolate chips for this and 3/4 cup of heavy cream. And all we have to do is bring this up to where it starts to boil, and you'll see it like right around the edges here. It'll start to bubble. And that's when you want to take it off. Now, when boiling heavy cream or milk, you don't want to walk away from it. Okay, that's the last thing you want to do, because when it starts to boil, it goes from starts to boil to overflowing all over your countertop in like an instant. You won't even be able to snap your fingers. It's that fast. So you want to pay attention. As soon as it starts to boil, well, all we got to do is just dump it over the chocolate chips. But I'll show you here in just a second. Okay, we're starting to boil around the edges, starting to bubble, so we're going to turn our heat off, give it a quick stir, and then we're just going to simply take it, this out of the way, bring this over here, and we're going to pour this over top of our chocolate chips. Now, we're just going to let that sit for a minute, okay? Because what we're doing is we're really softening up those chocolate chips. Oh. So, and as it sits there, it's starting to melt it. And then all we gotta do is just stir it up. Just gotta, like I said, you'll want to let it sit for a minute. So now that we let it sit for a second, we're gonna stir this, but we want to start in the middle, okay, and work our way out. So as it darkens is when you know you want to work your way out. And it'll steadily just turn to like a chocolate sauce. See how it's just, as I work my way out, it's starting to get darker and turn into a nice shiny chocolate syrup, basically. But this is Chris's favorite icing. Now, you can let it firm up. That's what makes it versatile. You can put this in the fridge and make it hard. You can do a million things with the ganache. But we're going to let it sit at room temperature. Now, if you wanted to speed this along, per se, you could put it in the fridge for like 5-10 minutes and you'd be good to go, you know, as far as the frosting goes. But there's our ganache right there. That's how easy this is. All right, so let me get organized here, set this off to the side, and we'll go ahead and make our icing next, all right? It's a lot of stuff. All right, I'll be right back. All right, ganache is sitting. Now, we're about to make a buttercream icing. And this is like, it takes a lot. I'm not going to kid you. I've never made a buttercream icing in quite this amount, or quite like it. But we're going to work through it. It does require, I'm going to let you know right off the bat, more powdered sugar than most small countries have in their entire stock. It takes 10 cups of powdered sugar, which is 1,150 grams. It also takes a fair amount of butter, some shortening, heavy cream, and vanilla. And the last ingredient, which I'll tell you the ingredients as we go, it needs 57 grams of freeze-dried strawberries that you will pulverize into a powder through your food processor or whatever you have that you would crush stuff with or pulverize stuff with. So let's go ahead and get started with this. And like I said, I've never made this before. I just know it took all my homemade butter and about a half a stick of regular butter, which is fine. I mean, you know, it works for me. So we will need, first you will take your 2.5 cups of freeze-dried strawberries, which is 57 grams, and you're going to pulverize that into a powder. Okay, that's the very first step right there. And you can find those at the grocery store. I know, at least at my Walmart, they keep it in the like candy aisle. So there's all the freeze-dried fruits down in one section. All right, so the next thing you will need is 1 3 cups or 336 grams of butter, which is the yellow right there. And then you will need 142 grams or 3/4 cup of shortening, Crisco. You know, basically, unless you have a shortening you prefer, or I mean, whatever works for you. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to put these in the mixer, like such. And we're going to cream this up. So we'll just put it down. We're going to start it on low, and we're going to cream those just like we did when we were making the cake, and get those nice and combined. Alright, so we're nice and creamy. I don't think we're going to get any creamier. And if I didn't mention it, butter, room temperature. Remember, unless otherwise noted in the directions in the recipe, always room temperature for your dairy. Eggs, milk, creams, butters, all that good stuff. You want that to be room temperature. So far, really, the only exception I've found to that rule is heavy cream when making whipped topping. Yeah, that's pretty much the only time I don't think I've ever seen butter not want to be at room temperature. Now, that being said, this cake, since does have a buttercream icing on it, we do want to refrigerate this. Yeah, if you're taking it to a party, you know, it'll be fine out for a few hours. But if, you know, it's just for you in your house, you know, you want to try to keep it in the fridge. You know, just take it out and cut your pieces and let them warm up a little bit. All right, so we got those mixed together and they're creamy. So now we're going to add half our powdered sugar. I just want to show you what 10 cups of powdered sugar looks like. That is a 5-quart bowl. It's just a ton of powdered sugar. So we're going to go ahead and put half our powdered sugar in here. Now, I'm not going to put this, the whole half in at once. It'll just make a powdered sugary mess. And although I am all for confectioner sugar at its finest, I don't know if I don't know if I truly want it all over the place. Now, with this being said, start this as slow as possible until it starts combining itself. Okay, so now we'll get a couple more cups in there. That's just a ton of powdered sugar. Which, I mean, this cake is going to take a lot of icing, so it doesn't surprise me. Because this test all your skills or give you a chance to learn some new skills, this cake will. This is why I chose this cake. I mean, it's challenging in some aspects. I mean, like making the cake was pretty straightforward, even though it had to mix the chocolate with the water first. That was a little odd. You know, but it had us make a ganache, which we've made ganaches before. But the buttercream icing is it's a little different. You know, it's a lot. It's a large amount. But you know, I've never done a 3-tier cake that's quite like this, and it you know, it gives us a chance. We'll get to use our piping bag. You know, at the end, we'll get to use a spoon technique to put the ganache on the top, because we're gonna try to do drips down the side. It will be hopefully turn out really cool, or it'll be a mess. But either way, that's what practicing is all about. I've never done, you know, drips down the side of anything in my baking career, so to speak. So it'll be something we can learn together. You know, that way we can talk about, was it hard, was it not hard, whatever. And then you know, we get to play with fresh strawberries, because this gets topped with chocolate covered strawberries. We get to use the piping bag, you know, which you guys have seen every time I've used a piping bag, because I'm just now getting into any sort of decorating, you know. But I find it fun, but more challenging. All right, so we got half our powdered sugar in there. We've got it combined good. The next thing we need to do is add our strawberry powder in. All right, so our 57 grams of dehydrated strawberries, we're going to go ahead and throw that in. That's what's going to give us the strawberry flavor in this and make our icing pink, which, I mean, come on, who doesn't like pink icing? And we're going to mix that in there. Once again, start on low. I don't know if you can see it or not, but yeah, it kicked up a bit of a cloud of dust. All right, so we got that mixed in there, and boy, is that pink. But you can smell the strawberries. It's really cool. It smells great. I wish you guys were actually here to smell it, because it smells good. Now this stuff is super thick, almost like Play-Doh thick, but that's okay. If I remember correctly, having made buttercream and icing in the past, it gets like this until you add some liquid to it. All right, so the next thing we want to do, and we're going to do this while we have it on low, we're going to add our half a cup of cream, okay? And it's heavy whipping cream. Once again, room temperature. We're going to throw that in there. We're just going to pour it in slow, so that way it gets mixed and doesn't splatter all over the place. And we're going to add in a half a teaspoon of vanilla, all right, which is 2 grams. All right. So we got it mixed. Now, we got a couple things we got to look at here. We want to look at thickness. You know, is it too thick? You know, or is it right where we want it? You know, because now it calls for a couple different options here. We can leave it like it is, which I personally think it's a little thick. So I'm going to add another tablespoon's worth of, you can use either water or more heavy cream, which I'm just going to put more heavy cream in it. Actually, I think I may put 2 tablespoons in. But then it also says to salt to taste. Okay, so, and now, I mean, if you guys follow me when I cook, salt to taste for us, we always start with 1/8 of a teaspoon. And for this, though, I have a feeling I'm just going to add just a pinch, yeah, which will be a little less than 1/8. I think we're going to put a little salt in it. Yep. Ooh, that tastes really good. Fresh strawberry. So we will put in our pinch of salt. If I can get a hold of it. There we go. And then I'm going to add just another tablespoon or so of cream as soon as I find I just had it. That's all right. We're going to make it work this way. So we'll pour just a little bit more heavy cream in there. And a little over maybe a tablespoon. All right. I think we are good to go on the icing. Let's try it one more time. That'll work. Okay, so next thing to do, because I don't want to forget this, or we won't have enough icing. We got to put the rest of the powdered sugar in there. Let's give it one more good mix up there. And then if we have to, we'll add a little more heavy cream. I should have probably waited to do that step, but to be honest with you, I completely forgot I had like 5 more cups of powdered sugar sitting over there. We'll get that. There is that. And we will get 2, 3, and in there. Start off slow, or that'll happen. That's all right. That's all right. All right, we got all our powdered sugar in there now, all 10 cups worth. And this actually looks like a phenomenal icing. I don't think I'm going to add any more to it, heavy cream wise or water wise for that matter. Go ahead and get the paddle cleaned off here. As this is the most buttercream icing I've ever made at one given time. It's kind of cool. Kind of cool.
Oh,
I don't want any. No, thank you.
Some milk?
Some milk?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but maybe later. Yeah. Somebody's taking my order. Yeah. My waitress just came and is getting my order together for me. Having eggs and milk. Yeah, sure. Eggs are good. Alright. Get all this shenanigans cleaned up because we are in the home stretch, my friends. Home stretch. Wow. Out of here, move this off to the side. I'm going to have to wipe it down. I got powdered sugar all over it. Excuse me, ma'am. Then we're just going to give this, I know, cake is always good, isn't it? Give this a good once around to make sure we got everything mixed. And it looks like we are in good shape. So, the next thing we're going to do is go get the cakes so we can bring them in here and I can show you how to cut them. The last thing you're going to need to do as we decorate this, and it's for decorating, as far as any prep work goes, is you're going to need a 1.5 cups of fresh diced strawberries, which I will show you. All right, let me get all this taken care of and we will start decorating. Okay, so call me lazy, but I'm sitting down. There's a reason for this. Right here is our 1.5 cups of diced up fresh strawberries. So the next thing we need to do,
I'll let you know. Okay.
is probably not hit or fake, but I'm going to do it anyhow.
Alright.
You're going to need a serrated knife, and we're just going to take the high spots off our cakes. This way we have a nice flat surface to work with. Now normally I don't do this, but since we're going 6 layers high, I would recommend cutting off the high spots. Just like so. That way we can, yeah, but we don't want to remove too much because we still have to cut this little cake in half. All right, so to cut it in half, I'm just going to take my knife, find the halfway spot, and it would help if I had a turntable, but I don't. So we're going to do this the old-fashioned way and just kind of turn the plate as we go.
Okay.
Yeah.
A fork.
A fork? Yeah. Abby is teaching us how to make butter. A different method than I had learned. This one you do by hand. Now I have cut cakes in half before, but never this thin. These are some thin cakes. That's all right. That's all right. We're going to make it happen. Got a little high on this side, I think. There we go. All right. I'll take that layer there, set it over there, just like such. Oh, got some weirdness going on there. All right, so we got our half a layer, not horribly even, but it's even enough. And we're going to take some of our buttercream icing here. This does not take up too much of your time. I will show you the first two layers. That way you have an idea how each layer goes. Because I'm going to have to, there ends up being 3 layers of the strawberry and 2 layers of the ganache. So we'll do a layer of the strawberry and a layer of the ganache. That way you can see how it goes on there. And then I'll do the rest on my own. So we got that done. Next thing we need to do is take some of our fresh strawberries and put them on the top, or put them on top of that. Then we're just going to push them down a little bit. Just like such. There is that. And then we are going to take our layer that we just cut off the top, and we're going to put it right back on top of there, just like such. And then we are going to take a small amount of the icing, and we're just going to make a moat kind of around the edge. Maybe. If I can get it to cooperate with me. Because what we're going to do is we're going to put some of this ganache in the center here. All right, we got our ring of icing on there. Now we're going to take our ganache. Now, with your ganache, if it does get a little too firm, you can put this in the microwave. Just don't blast it for like, a minute. Do like 10 seconds at a time. I'm not a fan of reheating ganache like that, but you can. Hands down. And you're going to put about 5-6 tablespoons worth of ganache here in the center. Just like such. I'm just going to spread it out. We want to, we don't need a horribly thick layer, but we don't want it to be, thin. I mean, you want it to be nice, an even portion. to your icing. And like I said, the only reason why we put the icing around the edge was to hold the ganache in. Yeah, we want it to be able to stay in there and not run out the sides as we layer it up. Now, all we're going to do now is wash, rinse, repeat. I will get the next cake out. I will trim the top off so it's even. And then we will put the layer on top of this and then do the same thing. Strawberries, the icing, strawberries, top, and then the other top, ganache, so on and so forth, till we're all the way to the top. So when I come back, we'll be all the way to the top, and we'll take a look at our progress, and then we can start icing. Something I wanted to show you real quick. I went ahead and got the piping bag out, and what I did on the second layer of icing was I just did it in a circle from the center out, piping it out. Made it a whole lot easier. So what I'm going to do with the ganache now is the exact same thing. I don't know why I didn't think about this a second ago when we were doing the first two layers. Something else I did. So remember how we had the cut side up on the first floor, so to speak? Well, what I did was I went ahead and on the second time around, and I will do this from now on, is I put the clean side, the cleaner of the two sides, the uncut side, up. So that way, when I put the icing on it, after doing this, it stuck better and I didn't have all that crumb going on. So, like I said, that way, see how we got, now we got a nice, a nice dam to hold the ganache back on. I think that works a lot better. So going forward, when we make this, we'll know, use your piping bag. And it'll give you time to practice with your piping bag. All right, so we got our layers done. There is our layers, all 6 of them. Craziness. I should make sure they are stacked appropriately. Looks good, good. So, just to show you kind of what I did with the whole layers of with the strawberry buttercream in them. All I did was just take my piping bag, because it hit me. You may not have seen last week's video, and I put my icing in, and we just simply went around in a circle. Oh, got a little air in there, just like such. And then to do the sides, I'm just going to simply take it, hold it like such, and squirt it onto the side, and kind of a zigzag. Ooh, there was air in there. So I know it looks like I'm just putting a crap ton of icing on this. I mean, it's because I am, basically. But the reason for that is we'll spread it out, and we're going to make an attempt to smooth it, so it's nice and professional looking, so to speak. I mean, if it's not, that's okay, because we're learning, But I've got my bench scraper out and ready to rock. And I'm going to get this all smoothed out. When I come back, we'll look at that result. All right, we got her iced. We got her smoothed out as best I can. I don't think it looks horrible for my first time ever doing more than just putting icing on a cake. I could be wrong. So now we're going to try something even newer. Now I did have to re-microwave my ganache a little bit. I literally put it in for 10 seconds. You don't want to do that. Now, there are a couple different ways you can do drips. the other way involves, I think, a syringe, which I don't have. So we're going to do it the old-fashioned way and just spoon it on. And from what I've read, you literally just put it around and kind of get it, put it a little heavier where you want it to drip at. Yeah, but you don't want so much on there that it, just goes pouring down to the bottom. So we're going to practice those. We are learning a lot today. So like that one was probably a bit much. And that's alright. This is how you learn. So the next step after this is going to be we're going to just cover the top with the Ganache, and then we're going to put some I wrote it down so I didn't forget what it was called. Some dollops, some nice spiral dollops around it to kind of neaten up that edge. So I'll be right back as soon as we get ready to do. Okay, guys. Well, I got the rest of the Ganache on there and the drippings down. You know what? It's not perfect, but I will tell you this. I'm very proud of my first attempt ever at something other than a standard cake. I do have to clean up the edges as far as just getting all the icing off the plate, so to speak. But here's what we got to do next. I know you're thinking to yourself, good God, Brian, we've been at this thing forever. So the next thing we got to do, there's a couple more steps, and that's it. We're going to put this in the fridge, and we're going to let it rest. It's very tired. We have worked it very hard over the last couple hours. So, and that way it'll give the buttercream a chance to firm up a little, and just give it a chance to rest. And then after that, and we're just talking like maybe an hour or two, long enough to clean up this major disaster I've made in my kitchen, making the fanciest cake I've ever made. But while it's sitting in there, when we bring it back out, the last two things we have to do after it sits in the fridge is we're going to put some chocolate covered strawberries on it, which we'll probably do a separate video on how to do those. I know we will because this video is running long enough. But Chris does really well with chocolate covered strawberries. And then we just have to try a piece. I mean, that's the hardest part right there is trying a piece. So stop sticking your tongue out. So when I come back, we'll have put in the chocolate covered strawberries on it, and we will try a piece. All right, I'll see you here in just 1 millisecond. So we let the cake chill, we'll let it rest, relax. We'll work it kind of hard. And then Chris went ahead and made my chocolate covered strawberries for me. Which is something I've never done before, but she's awesome at stuff like that. But there is our cake. Chocolate covered strawberries and all. You should be very proud. Looks very nice. You did a good job. So now we just got to cut us a piece and take a look at it. Let's dissect the cake. Dun, dun, dun. Move it down here. There we are. Right, and because I'm always prepared, let me grab a knife and... Alright, sorry about that. I had to grab a knife and a plate because I'm always prepared. I almost don't want to cut this. It looks that pretty. And I know it's just going to be one giant cake. And with this being essentially a 3-layer cake turned into 6, we definitely don't need to have a giant slice by any means. But I'm going to take that strawberry, because you gotta love a chocolate covered strawberry. Right. Wow. I'm impressed.
Hey.
Yep, it's the cake. So there is our 6-layer chocolate and strawberry buttercream ganache cake. Yeah, even this cake was, I mean, it's hands down the most challenging cake I've ever made, and most of it's just because of the decorating. If we were just slopping this together and we didn't want to try to make it look like somebody that knows what they were doing did, it would be not an easy cake to make. I mean, anything that involves 3 cakes turned into 6 is not easy, I don't think, but it looks like we've done it so far. It looks good. It smelled really good while it was being baked and processed and all that. We did make a bit of a mess in the process, but now we can see how it tastes. That's really good. Very strawberry. But definitely well worth it. I can't imagine this is a healthy cake to eat at all. But that blend of the strawberry buttercream with the chocolate ganache and that chocolate cake recipe, it's pretty good. You know, it's not horribly sweet. It's not bitter. I like it. I like it enough that I'm going to have another bite before it's all said and done. Definitely recommend trying this one. Yeah, especially if you want a bit of a challenge. But right there, I don't know if you can see it or not, because I didn't cut me a very big piece. But right there's the inside of our cake. Yeah. And, wow. That cake is really good. I'm quite impressed. Even if you just made a regular double layer cake with that buttercream icing, if you do that, I'd recommend cutting the icing in half when you make it. But the ganache, I'd probably cut that in half too. Yeah. Unless, well, you can save ganache. But either way, try this. If you're looking for something new and different and a bit of a challenge, yeah, because of course, the first time I've ever made this cake was now, and brought you guys along with it. So I had to, well, I don't know what I had to do, but I had that added pressure of, you know, trying to do it right. And it really did test what skills I've learned over the last year and a half. But if I can do it, I know you can do it. So anyhow, try this cake. If you make it, take some to a friend. I'm telling you, you'll be like best friends within 3 bites, maybe the first bite. So next week, I don't know what we're doing next week. I'm still working out on the garage. I've at least gotten it to the point now where I get the car in the garage. But now we got to organize a little, and then I think here in 2 weeks we're going to start cabinet building for the basement. So that way we can get a little more kitchen space going on. We're going to do a studio kitchen, so to speak. Wednesday, I don't know what we're making for dinner yet. Thursday, I have no idea what we're going to bake or what we're going to do. I really don't know what we're going to do next week until probably closer to next week. So, until next week, I love you. I love you very much. Tell somebody else you love them and you love them very much. Make this cake. Like I said, take them a piece. Friends for life. This is a great way to get to know your neighbors. All right? I'll see you next week. I love you. Talk to you later. Bye.